Oh,
What's going on? Oh, I thought I was starting with welcome to the Sports Dummies with Tony Tucker and Joe Worley. It's the final mock draft edition. It's the final mock draft. Tony, I've done a lot of mock drafts, and I messed around with a lot of them, and some people took them serious, some people didn't. I don't really take them serious, but today is the one I take serious, Tony. This is the one you give me the final grade on.
Hardest mock draft ever, right? Like just looking around at all of the different information and places that people could go. Never been so many wild cards. I've never been more confused about who the number one pick in this draft is. So I have no idea. There it is. What does this say? Bolt the F up. FTR? Oh, I know what he's saying. He's saying F them Raiders, fourth place. There we go. I love it.
I'm with you on this mock draft, Tony. It was tough to do. It's a tough one because normally, like you said, we normally know who number one is, and then we don't have to really guess who number two is, and they usually fall in place pretty easy. This year with Jacksonville and being number one, it's all screwed up, right? It's all screwed up. But you want me to start with my mock draft first? You want to talk a little bit more, or you just want to get right into it?
I do. We are going to start with you. I'm going to open up the show properly, though. So rewind. Welcome into Sports Dummies. If you are listening on the audio version, please rate, subscribe, share it with a friend. If you are not, jump over on YouTube, get in here, get in these comments. Joe and I are putting together our final mock drafts of the season. Joe is going to start. Joe, would you like to pick a little music to play underneath yours?
Let's see. What do we want to go with? We want to go with, I don't know, a little dance pop.
There it is. A little dance pop underneath. Got the pacifier of the glow sticks.
If you guys are watching at home, or you guys are watching on YouTube, if you guys are listening to the audio, sorry about that. But if you guys are watching on YouTube, I actually have the board up. So of course you guys see the picks, right? I'm gonna go pretty quick to it because you guys are probably all mock draft out and all that. But here's my final 2022 mock draft with the Jacksonville Jaguars, of course, staying there. I think Jacksonville stays there, Tony. I think they want to trade out. There's all the talks, like you said. Doug Peterson, the head coach, wants an offensive lineman. The owner wants Aiden Hutchinson. The general manager wants Trayvon Walker, right? So nobody knows who the hell the Jacksonville wants. They all want to mix around and go their own way. But I think they've given so much power to Trent Baalke. Why not continue to give him the same power, right? And he's going to do the same thing. And I'm going with Trayvon Walker, number one overall pick, with Trent Baalke winning it, right? Everyone's, crazy. So who's that help out? That helps out the Detroit Lions because then Aiden Hutchinson falls right into their lap, and they go, thank you very much, we'll take that. The New York Jets, or the Houston Texans are on the clock, and Houston makes a big splash here, Tony. I think they shock the world just a little bit, and they piss you off a little bit, and they go cornerback Derek Stingley Jr. Why not go with the best one on the board? They, all the injuries, everything about him, I think they finally feel like, we're good. TDs, what's up in the house, TDs? So I have Trayvon Walker, Hutchinson, and Stingley, right? Stingley's probably your surprise one, but it's not really that big of a surprise, right, for you, Tony? You know they want to go defense with Lovie Smith there, so I'm taking the defensive guy. New York Jets at number 4. This is where it kind of gets funny, but I think they have to go Kayvon Thibodeau. I saw that they had a great meeting with him last week. I think they go with that defensive end. Robert Saleh goes, hey, let's beef up that defensive line and let's get to the quarterback. Here we go. New York Giants are on the clock. They take offensive tackle Evan Neal, right? We all know no matter what, Giants get their pick right here. I allow the Giants to get their pick at all 3 of the top offensive tackles, Tony. So they're going to take Evan Neal. Why not? I mean, at this point, you flip a coin, you go, I'll take this offensive tackle. I'll take Evan Neal. Texans take Evan Neal. That's what Maricone is asking. And no, I took the Giants with them. So the Carolina Panthers are on the board. This is where I hate it, Tony. This is the pick that I got to and I was like stuck on. Because I think Carolina, if they want to take a quarterback, they need to trade down. And it came out this morning that the owner said We want a quarterback. We're taking a quarterback. Well, the bad thing is the quarterbacks aren't good enough to go this high in the NFL draft this year, right? Or at least in our opinion as of right now. But, Tony, I still have them staying here. I have them trying to trade out, but I said, nope, they don't do it. They get scared. They do what the owner wants them to do, and they take quarterback Kenny Pickett. Not my choice, not what I like, but I'm telling you, this is my final mock draft, and this is how I feel that it's finally going to go. Tony, you know that I hate taking a quarterback this high in the draft, but I feel that this is the way it falls. So now the New York Giants are on the clock, right? They trade it. They trade it with the Baltimore Ravens. They move down to number 14. The Ravens move on up, Tony, and the Ravens select Ahmad Sauce Gardner right here at number 7. You like that trade, Tony? I don't know. I like it. I feel that's a good move for the Ravens to move up. The Giants already got their offensive tackle, and they said, why not move down and get some extra picks out of it? Atlanta Falcons are on the clock. A lot of questions here, Tony, about what the Falcons could do. Everybody's thinking they need to go wide receiver because they're missing their guy, Calvin Ridley. They're doing all that. They trade it with the Minnesota Vikings, and the Vikings move on up, Tony, and they take Icky right here on the best offensive lineman on the board to protect your boy Kirk Cousins in Minnesota. So Minnesota Vikings jump up and they say, hey, if you guys aren't going to take the offensive guard / offensive tackle and you're going to let him fall, we're going to move up and we're going to take him. So the Falcons move back, Vikings move up. So I had 2 trades in the top 8, Tony. What do you think about that so far?
All right, so this would be a great way to start draft day. This is absolutely exciting, and nobody really sees it coming. Like, people have been whispering about Derek Stingley at 3, but I love this here. Lovie Smith needs that. I think that you can't – to me, DBs are less effective when you don't have pass rush. That's why I think the Texans need to go pass rush this year and worry about DB later, but we'll get to that later. I think the biggest surprise here is that we don't get an offensive lineman until 5 in a draft without any QBs. And the 2 trades, they seem plausible to me. I could see both of those teams moving up and addressing needs, Ravens and the Vikings in those spots. And I'll just say this. The Panthers, if they pick Kenny Pickett at 6, I don't see it working out in any way for this organization for like a long period of time. Like, you just have to say, we're not going first round QB. We'll take our chances in the second round and we'll try and add some picks and get more players because they're just in a bad spot right now. And forcing it right here just doesn't seem like the right thing to me. But I'm with it. This would be an exciting start to the first round, and I'm ready to see what 9 through 16 has to offer.
See, if I'm the Panthers, I take the offensive tackle there. But after reading what the owner wants and hearing all that, Tony, usually the owner gets what the owner wants, and they're going to force it. And that I hate it. I hate that pick, but let's move on from there. We got the Seattle Seahawks at number 9, right? Seattle Seahawks, they can go a lot of different directions. They're without their quarterback, Russell Wilson, and they go tackle Charles Cross right here. Finally building the offensive line. What's something they should have done when they had Russell Wilson. But now that they don't have Russell Wilson, they're going to build it because they're going to be more running the game. And they're going to start with, and why not get one of the top tackles in the top 10? New York Jets, they trade the pick. The New York Jets are number 10, and they trade with the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles move up, and they take their defensive back, Kyle Hamilton. Right? Eagle fans might not be happy with that, but they get a safety defensive back, somebody to help that secondary. They can move them all around. The Jets fans are like, what are you doing? We want to get Debo. Well, I think this helps. You might get Debo because you can trade down if you're going to do that. But I have the Jets trading down with the Eagles right here. Washington Commanders, they trade down. They trade with the Saints. The Saints move up, and they take Garrett Wilson, the wide receiver, right? So Garrett Wilson off the board. Saints move up. So I have 4 trades so far, Tony, in the top 11. I don't know if you like that, but I like it. Minnesota, they traded their pick to the Falcons. Falcons stay here at number 12, and they take Drake London, the wide receiver. So Falcons moved down, picked up some extra picks, and still got a wide receiver because basically they go, hey, we'll take the best available wide receiver when we move down and pick up a couple extra picks to help our team out, right? A little help out. Vikings go up and get their guard. Houston on the clock at number 13. They already took Derek Stingley Jr. Who are they going to take to help out? They take their defensive end, Tony, the one you were talking about, and they take Jermaine Johnson. So, I don't know. For some reason, I think Houston goes with both of their picks. I think they go defense with both of their picks. Lovie Smith is there. They're going to fix that defense up. They're in a you could consider that a weaker division, but you're going to have to get defense to stop the Tennessee Titans and Derrick Henry over there. So Jermaine Johnson, Derek Stingley Jr. Not a bad way for the Houston Texans to get in the first 2 picks, right? Baltimore Ravens, we already told you that they traded up. So the Giants take George Karlaftis right here, defensive end. So I have the Giants still taking their defensive end and taking defensive line and offensive line in the draft. They just did it in a different order by trading down. Philadelphia Eagles, they traded this pick and they moved up with the Jets. So now the Jets are in the clock. The Jets take wide receiver Treylon Burks at this point, right? They want Deebo Samuels. Why not take the replica of Deebo Samuels right here at number 15? And you traded down, you picked up some extra picks. I think the Jets will be moving around up and down this draft board. New Orleans Saints, they made a trade with the Washington Commanders. They took Garrett Wilson. So the Saints are off the board. Washington's on the board. Washington takes linebacker Devin Lloyd. I don't know. I've been telling you guys this. I think Washington took a linebacker first round last year. People are going to be like, why are they taking a second one? Because your coach loves defense, and he loves linebackers. And that's what he's going to go after. He's going to take the best linebacker off the board. So, Tony, there's my 9 through 16.
Okay, so I really I love this. I saw some talk of Trevor Penning being the apple of the eye for Seattle. So it's interesting because Charles Cross is more of a pass blocker, but I don't see why he couldn't be develop into a good run blocker. Kyle Hamilton, the Eagles trade here. Like, if I'm the Jets, I'm staying there to pick Kyle Hamilton, right? Because I don't know. I can't imagine. They moved down to where? The Jets moved down to 15 and then take a wide receiver there. I think I don't know. It's very interesting. I love Jermaine Johnson going to the Texans and the Texans double dipping. Karlaftis this high. The Giants need pass rush. I like it. And Devin Lloyd he's low-key one of my favorite players in the first round. Like, I love Devin Lloyd, and if the Chargers draft him, I would be over the moon excited about having him on the roster.
So you're liking it. I feel that you're liking it just a little bit, Tony. That's a good thing. That's all. I came here to please Tony Tucker, and that's all that matters to me. So I'll move on. So there's a couple more trades than I really thought. Like, when I was getting down to it, I was like, I'm not going to make a lot of trades. But then when I started doing it, I was like, some of these make a little bit sense if some of these guys fall. So I'll move on to number 17 and your Los Angeles Chargers, Tony. And, I'm thinking, hey, they probably would have been liking Burks, right? That's why I had somebody move up. That's why I was thinking wide receiver the whole time here. But I'm going to go defensive back Trent McDuffie to the Los Angeles Chargers. Why not? They've had him in for a couple of visits. They've talked to him. You've already talked about maybe the Chargers jumping up and trying to draft another quarterback. Why not take Trent McDuffie right here as defensive back? Eagles are on the clock. Eagles take linebacker Nakobe Dean. I know people are going to be like, well, the Eagles didn't take a wide receiver. Or did they? Did I have them take a wide receiver? I forget already. But anyway, Nakobe Dean goes off the board to the Philadelphia Eagles, which leaves the New Orleans Saints on the board. And they take defensive line Jordan Davis right here, the big dude Jordan Davis. Steelers are on the board. I think they take the quarterback that everybody thinks they're going to take, but they take the other one. They take Desmond Ridder, Tony, in the first round, and they leave Malik Willis on the board. Patriots are on the board, and I like this move, Tony. I don't know why I like it, and I think it's going to happen. And I think people are going to call me crazy for this wide receiver falling, but I think wide receiver Jameson Williams falls to the New England Patriots, and Mac Jones reunites with his wide receiver. Green Bay Packers are on the clock at 22. They take guard Zion Johnson, and people are going to be like, what are the Packers doing, Tony? What are the Packers doing? Why are they taking a guard when they need wide receiver help? Because the Packers are crazy, Tony, and they don't care what you think. They're taking the guard Zion Johnson, and they don't give a damn. Arizona's on the clock. They take Trevor Penning. Dallas Cowboys come on, and they go, hey, you're going to let Wyatt fall to us? We're going to say thank you very much, and we're going to take him as well.
All right, so I'm going to say I would be also very happy with Trent McDuffie. He's another player that feels like a Brandon Staley guy. Very well-disciplined, very educated. Every time that you hear somebody that like, I talked to Trent McDuffie, and nobody knows more about coverages and preparation than him, so I'd be excited about that. Nakobe Dean, I saw some stuff come out where they're talking about medical concerns now, which I think between that and size, not a good combo. Probably falling out of the first round based on the top. But you know how much I love Desmond Ridder. I think if Malik Willis is on the board, that's who the Steelers are taking right there. Jameson Williams falling. He only played 1 year at Alabama. I probably shouldn't correct you like this on the show, but I'm going to as a friend. Mac Jones and him never played together. So I don't think that factors into it. Trevor Penning to the Cardinals. That's interesting. Showing a little love. And Devontae Wyatt to the Cowboys. He feels like he would be a great Cowboy. Like I really like that fit there. All good stuff. Still very interesting.
So we'll move on to the Buffalo Bills. Either way, Mac Jones will be happy with his wide receiver, right? It don't matter.
Yes,
He'll
I
be
agree.
happy with the wide receiver. Buffalo Bills move on. Wide receiver Jahan Dotson to the Buffalo Bills. I know a lot of people want to go running back here, but I think no running back goes in the first round. Spoiler alert! I just gave you a spoiler alert that I don't have a running back go in the next couple picks. So I think they take the wide receiver. Why not, right? Tennessee's on the clock, and they take guard Kenyon Green. Another guard to Tennessee. They build up that offensive line again. You already know why, because that coach wants to run the ball. They're going to run the ball. DB Daxton Hill to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They can move him around, help out that secondary. Not a lot that Tampa Bay needs, but they need defense, right? Now the Green Bay Packers are on the clock. You're already pissed off because they took a guard with their first pick, and everybody's all mad. Well, Green Bay, here you go. Wide receiver Chris Olave falls to you at number 28. You like that? I like that. Kansas City Chiefs. I don't want to help the Kansas City Chiefs out, but I have to. And the whole draft, you're thinking Kansas City has to move up. Kansas City has to move up. They have 2 first-round picks. They have to move around. I think Kansas City's sitting in the perfect spot, sitting here with both picks, Tony, because a lot of people will follow them. They take Andrew Booth Jr., the quarterback, and then they take wide receiver Sky Moore. They help out both positions that they need, and Kansas City improves right there. I mean, you and I are both fans of the AFC West. We're going to hate both of those moves and be like, nah, I don't like that. So that's good for Kansas City. Cincinnati Bengals are on the clock, and they trade with the Jets. The Jets move back into the first round, and the Jets take wide receiver George Pickens. So I told you the Jets didn't take a wide receiver earlier. They went defense and they did some other stuff, but then they come back in the first round and they take George Pickens. So there you go. The Jets move right back in. Detroit Lions are on the clock, and they take quarterback Matt Corral. So there you go, Tony. That's my final mock draft for you.
Okay. This is wild because, Joe, you get luckier on your calls more than anybody I know. But if Chris Olave falls to 28, the Packers get a steal. I cannot see that happening. The board went away. It went back to the first one overall. But you got Jahan Dotson up there ahead of him. That's interesting. I don't want the Chiefs to get Andrew Booth or Sky Moore, but those seem like good picks for them. And George Pickens, I really wanted to force him into mine. We'll see if that happens in a second. I thought Green Bay and the Chiefs were good landing spots for him, and I argued over both mentally. This is interesting, and Matt Corral to the Lions, he feels like the Lions guy, like the way he talks about playing with controlled aggression. I think he did a great job, and if this is how the draft shakes out, I'm going to be very shocked, but also very entertained. The Jets trading in for a third pick? Get out of here.
The Jets would walk away with Treylon Burks and George Pickens in this first round.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy. You got Corey Davis, and they got Elijah Moore. I think they gave Braxton some money this offseason as like a special teams and depth wide receiver. Very interesting, my friend. Okay, I'm going to ask you this question about your mock, and I'll give you some time to think about it because I did not prepare you for it. Let's calm the music down. But do you have one pick on there where you're like, this is a lock pick? Like, I feel like this is a slam dunk. I know this one's going to happen. Do you have that one pick on your board where you're like, oh, I know this, like, I can feel it in my bones that this is going to happen? Like, you could take this one to the bank. I'm betting my kids' college fund on this pick that this team lines up with this player so perfectly at this spot in the draft. I don't know. You don't have to have one, right?
No, there's a couple of them that, like, when you're doing your mock drafts, you keep falling back to the same people. But I want to lock in and say that if I'm going to lock one in, it's going to have to be I want to say Devin Lloyd to the Commanders. I want to say that in every mock draft that I've done, I've taken the Commanders, taking a linebacker, and either if it's at 11 or if they trade back like I have them doing, I think they take the linebacker. I think Devin Lloyd ends up in Washington.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
I'll show mine one more time through the screen. You guys can see it 1 through 8. Here you go. 9 through 16. Boom, boom, boom. You can pause it if you need to. Look, no trades through 17 through 24. That's crazy.
Yeah, that to me feels like where I think more trades are going to happen, even though my mock won't reflect it. I couldn't quite pin down who or what I thought might be moving there.
So Mike came on. He said Dotson's going to take a wide receiver spot in about 2 years. Diggs, bro, in Dallas by 2023.
Diggs, bros, in Dallas. Okay.
Minnesota, lock it in, Mike said. I got Stingers going to number 3, so Minnesota has no shot.
All right.
Well, because I had the reason he's saying Dotson is because I had Dotson going to Buffalo, remember?
Yes. I do. Which we'll get into that into mine in a second. Are you ready for me to get mine rolling?
Yep, I'm ready.
All right. Let's get a little music going for mine. We're going with a total rock fest here. Okay, Joe. I did mine as I'm all in the chalk version so that these are erasable because I have no idea, and I have changed this so many times. Even when I was building these graphics for the show, I was changing my mind. The news that they signed Cam Robinson, they gave him that 3-year deal, made me switch out Icky at number 1. I think that Trent Baalke wins the argument with the owner, but I think if it fails, he just signed his, pink slip, pack your bags. You're now going to be a commentator on one of the many networks. Aiden Hutchinson to Detroit. They need guys like this in the locker room. They need winners. They need, players that put up numbers. I think the Houston Texans like Davis Mills, and they want to bring in a cornerstone that they can develop into a nice pass blocker, but somebody in the run game that they can get a running back later in this draft, and they can start to run the football a little bit to help him out. That is a best friend, is having a running game. Icky can bolster that for you. Sauce to the Jets at 4. I just think there's a lot less concerns about who he will be, and I think Robert Saleh really needs that guy for him to kind of unlock that defense. Also, the Jets, maybe they get back Carl Lawson. They already have a little going for them in the pass rush game, and they also have 2 picks in the second round where they could get some players we'll talk about after that maybe fell out that we think could get in to the day 1. Evan Neal, there's a connection there with Brian Dable and the Alabama, and I think they're not going to be that concerned about the medical, and they're going to be able to move him around and also have insurance in case the tackle they have right now doesn't work out. He finally started to play well. I always forget his name. It's like similar to a president, Andrew Jackson. but that's not his name. Kayvon Thibodeau. Here's my first trade. I have Philly and Howie Roseman being aggressive and saying, you know what would go really nice with Hassan Reddick? Another pass rusher. This would help us out to bring in somebody this dynamic to the team. He comes with swagger, and they get a chance to bolster their defense and really try and win the NFC East. Like, say, hey, Cowboys, this year, Dak is going to be under pressure the entire time. I thought about them trading up for Stingley here, but I panicked last second. The Giants also get a guy that they need is a big-time playmaker, safety, Kyle Hamilton there. And then the Falcons, I wanted to trade them back somewhere, and I just ended up not doing that. I think Garrett Wilson is a nice complement in that offense. He can come in, play as like a low-key, low-end number one, however you want to say it, with Kyle Pitts right there. And Marcus Mariota can do his thing. They get quarterback in the second, third round, something like that, as a project for Arthur Smith. What do you think on my top 8?
I like it. I like how you did something with that Carolina pick, because you and I were talking about that when I was going through mine. That Carolina needs to get out of that spot, especially if they want to take the quarterback. I hope Thibodeau will fall, but people are hating on him, and he falls. If he goes to Philly, good spot for them. Yeah, I like it. I like Garrett Wilson to Atlanta too. Like, you got to think basically any wide receiver would fit in good there, but you think the top guy, or who most people consider the top guy in Atlanta, you can't go wrong there. And you and I are both on the same page with the Trayvon Walker that we think Trent Baalke wins out. But yeah, he's stamping his name on that. You better hope he pans out.
Yeah, it feels like Trent Baalke just wants to go with the highest upside player, since they're up here at number 1. The Garrett Wilson thing too is like, he's fast. Like, he ran 4.37 at the combine, and he runs all the routes. He feels like you put him on the turf in Atlanta, and he could really do some damage for them. Going to 9 through 16. Pete Carroll loves himself big time, shut down cornerbacks. That's how the Legion of Boom was built. And I think Derek Stingley can be the pick there for them. Jameson Williams, I have had him up and down the board the whole time. But the more that I looked at the Jets, I'm like, okay, the Jets are going to get Sauce at 4. At 10, remember we saw Zach Wilson and Tommy Johns throwing those 70-yard off-platform throws, and everybody lost their mind? Go get the guy that can really make those big splash plays when he's ready to go. Just if the Jets aren't trading for Debo or aren't trading for DK Metcalf or A.J. Brown, I think they want to get a guy that can go ahead and make them some big splash plays. Trent McDuffie, I know you said that Washington wants and loves linebackers. Here's my thing. Trent McDuffie is smart. He's a professional. And he will fit so nicely with Ron Rivera, and they need DBs there. They have to. That front 7 gets there, and they should be getting, coverage sacks if they had anybody who could cover and stay with somebody. So I think Trent McDuffie fits nicely there for them. The Vikings, they get a much-needed edge rusher that they're going to need to bring the pressure to Aaron Rodgers and try and win that NFC North division. Charles Cross, I got him falling further than anybody else, but I think this is what happens. A lot of times, like this happened with Slater last year, there's always an offensive lineman who starts to fall a little bit, and I think the fact that he's not a great run blocker, at least all of the stuff I've seen, is him in passing highlights. I think he falls a little bit, but Houston, I forget who I have Houston taking in the first round. Why am I blanking on it? Oh, they take Icky, right? Double dip right here on offensive line for your quarterback, for your passing game, run game, however it works out. So this is also a pick where, like, I could see Houston trading out, not trading out, but 14, Jordan Davis, Baltimore, feels like a Raven. Put him up front, like it'll just be a nightmare in that front line. Carolina trades back. they get Trevor Penning, Chris Olave to the Saints. The guy's going to be right there ready to go. Nice compliment to what Mike Thomas does if he actually plays football this year. And then Chris Olave goes over the top.
I like Jermaine Johnson to Minnesota. I think that's a great fit right there. The Charles Cross one, it gets to me. I'm guessing that Houston is like, it's too good to pass up, like an offensive tackle falling there here. But that would solidify their offensive line for years to come, with the other offensive tackle they already have. And then now you said they already picked up Dickey at the beginning, who's more likely going to be an all-pro guard. Jordan Davis to Baltimore, of course. Baltimore with another big dude. Crap. That's going to hurt everybody. I think Carolina trading down and taking Trevor Penning. I like them trading down, but if that's who they walk away with, are you going to be a little bit upset as a Carolina Panther fan? I know we don't want them taking the quarterback, but you would hope that they traded down and picked up somebody better than just a tackle or an offensive lineman, right?
I hear what you're saying. I get it, but I think more so that them trading the pick is like they've already reserved to the right that they're gonna punt on drafting a QB in the draft this year. That they're gonna play it out. They're either gonna trade for Baker Mayfield or whatever. But if you're gonna trade for a quarterback or you're gonna put Sam Darnold out there, you got to have better protection. Like part of the reason that Darnold was as bad as he was he was under constant pressure. So like you bring in a left tackle in the first round, you add a second or third round pick, hopefully, and you go back and you can get another player to put in that offense. Or maybe you package your third and fourth and you go up and you get the quarterback that you like in the second round. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the quarterbacks fall too. So I'm with you. If they can do some maneuvering or do something where they either pick up picks next year or they pick up some picks this year, and like you said, the offensive line is going to be an issue this year. It's going to be an issue next year. So you might as well fix it. One of these years, you have to fix it and might as well do it now, right?
Yes. So another trade coming up here. Cowboys, Jerry Jones, connection to Arkansas, Treylon Burks, who I absolutely love. And if the Chargers stayed at 17 and drafted Treylon Burks, I would be extremely excited. He is my favorite wide receiver in this draft. Somebody was going over his PFF stats. He had like the most explosive plays. He led college football in yards after the catch. Like he's just used all over the place. Is he the most accomplished route runner? No, but he is an absolute weapon that you can put pretty much anywhere on the field and get great things to happen out of him. Drake London falling here. This does not seem to be in lockstep with anybody's mock drafts. This is why I was like, I just need to burn this, and my mock draft should not be on the internet anywhere. But it is. Here we go. Sports Dummies, welcome in. Drake London to Philly. They get another receiver. Abraham Lucas is, this is kind of I kind of forced this one in here a little bit, but I think he has been getting some heat. And I think that the two positions, if you're the Saints, is you want to get a speed receiver, they get Olave, then they come back and they get somebody who has potential to fill the Armstead tackle vacancy there. Abraham Lucas, big guy. People are starting to fall in love with him more. Malik Willis. Joe, this is my lock pick. I don't feel like any other player is more destined to play in a place than Malik Willis. Like, it feels like I've said this in the beginning, like Pittsburgh, it feels like that Coach Tomlin would love to bring him in there, help him achieve excellence and greatness, and really take care of him and allow him to sit for maybe even 2 years behind Trubisky and just say, hey, get used to the NFL because you're going to be torching this league in a few years. Devin Lloyd, Patriots need linebackers. He's big, he's smart, he's got, he's not similar to a Willie McGinnis, but he's got that sort of ability to affect a football game like Willie had back in the day. So I like Devin Lloyd to New England there. Karlaftis falling a little bit. Packers need to bring in somebody who can get after the quarterback. They lost Za'Darius Smith, so you bring in him. He had a really high win percentage rate at rushing the quarterback. He just didn't get there as often. But maybe he's not the number one focus, and he gets more. Breece Hall is my running back in the first round to head coach who says, hey, we might not have receivers, but we're going to have a loaded backfield with James Conner and Breece Hall. And then the Chargers in the trade down, they get a guard/tackle flexibility with Zion Johnson. What do you think about this set of picks?
I like it. Dallas Cowboys do Dallas Cowboy things, and of course they trade up and do that, right? I like the okay. You mentioned the Drake London falling or whatever, not matching up with any, but this is the way the NFL draft goes, Tony. Like sometimes we'll have the wide receivers ranked 1 through 5, and we'll think that this guy is the top guy going, and NFL teams will fall in love with number 3 and draft him earlier. So I can see London falling. I'm with you on the Malik Willis, Tony. I had Pittsburgh taking a quarterback. I had them taking Desmond Ridder just because of my personal thing. I don't like Malik Willis. I think he's more of a project but like you said, Pittsburgh is gonna allow him to sit there for 2 years, but they got to know that coming in. Me personally, I think if you're gonna draft somebody in the first round, you want him to play within a year sooner. But if they're gonna let Malik Willis sit there, but everything I've read on Malik Willis, the more and more I don't like him. But I understand where you're saying Pittsburgh doesn't hide their draft strategy. They go out there and they tell you this is who we're going to take, and if he's there, that's who they take. And Malik Willis feels like that pick. Like you said, I feel like they go on quarterback. I just hope they go in a different direction. But I understand where you're saying with Malik Willis. Devin Lloyd feels like a Patriot, but so does George Karlaftis. I feel he can go to the Patriots at that point too. So if you want to switch him, but both of you and I are on the same page about Green Bay. That first number 22 that they go, well, we're going to wait a little bit on wide receiver, right? Because the wide receiver has been so. The draft stuff for wide receivers have been so heavy, so depth heavy, that it's good to wait. So I'm liking this. I know that you want to get Arizona needs a running back. You're kind of reaching there with the running back, but that's what happens when you need something, right?
Yeah, I agree. I originally had them trading back with Kansas City here, but I don't, like you said, I think Kansas City just stays and keeps all those picks in the top 80 or whatever they have, top 100 at least. They have like 5 picks, and I just don't see them moving back or moving up to get somebody that is going to fall to them nicely. So I didn't really know who. Like I could have given Arizona many places. This is what I decided on. Here is the end of my mock draft. I have the Buffalo Bills. People, if you think that, I hear a lot of people going, Breece Hall to the Bills, he's the one piece. They didn't lose to the Chiefs because Breece Hall. They lost to the Chiefs because they couldn't cover anybody. Trey White was injured. They have a defensive head coach. I think they're going to get a big-time cornerback in the spot. It could be Kaiir Elam. It could be Booth. They could go get, Daxton Hill and convert him somewhere, whatever. But I think that this is a defensive player. An edge rusher, maybe Boye Mafe. Oh, I'm already leaking guys that I said I would talk about later, who's not on my board. But I think they get a defensive player. Here's the point. Tennessee. I think Tennessee needs a solid number 2. They tried last year with Julio Jones. I think if Jahan Dotson is here, this guy, every scout, every person talks about his ability, technician, route running, 40 time is there. I think he complements A.J. Brown really nice and can maybe allow for that run game to be more explosive if you have to really respect A.J. Brown and Jahan Dotson to be stretching the field. Devontae Wyatt to Tampa Bay, it just feels like a Tampa Bay Buck. He feels like, hey, we lost Ndamukong Suh, but now we have a younger version of somebody who can terrorize people in the middle of the field. And the Green Bay Packers don't select a first-round wide receiver. They go get offensive guard Kenyon Green. The Chiefs, this pick to me is like pass rusher or wide receiver. And then they get the back-to-back. And again, it's pass rusher or defensive back. So in this one, I went for something a little more fun. Christian Watson has that game-breaking speed, and they won't really necessarily need him to be dominating at the beginning of the year. Then they bring in Daxton Hill. Chiefs just need so much help on their defense. That's really the side of the ball that they need to bring up to compete. Patrick Mahomes is going to be fine, people. The Cincinnati, I had them picking between an offensive lineman, who we'll get to, on a player that I think could be here, but I had them taking a defensive back. I know Eli Apple he's great, He's the man. He's confident. But I have him taking Kyler Gordon, who's a big corner out of Washington. I just think he's a first-round value, late first round. And then Desmond Ridder to Detroit. Like I said, I think Matt Corral fits more of what's going on there. But Desmond Ridder, to me, he's too good to not bring in when you have Jared Goff for at least a year or two more and just say, hey, you're going to get to learn from a guy who went to a Super Bowl, who's actually not a terrible quarterback. And Lions, like I said in the first part, they need winners. Desmond Ridder won in college. I don't care if it was at Cincinnati or not. There's a lot of people who've played at Cincinnati, and they didn't win. This guy played for the Bearcats and won. I like Desmond Ridder. What do you think of the end, Joe?
I like Desmond Ridder falling in that first round. I had him going to Pittsburgh, so I understand him getting up there and going to Detroit. Like you said, we feel that Detroit's going to take a quarterback somewhere here, right? Either here at this 32, but they want to get that 5th-year option, or wait till one of their second-round picks. But we feel Detroit's going to take a quarterback in this draft. So I like that. Green Bay, you're throwing me off with Green Bay. When are they going to take their guy, Tony? When are they going to help out?
So they got 2 picks in the second round. I think they could trade up. So here, let's finish this. Let's stop this rock music. We will. Can I remove this?
Yeah, well, let me finish real quick. Okay. I like the Andrew Booth Jr. I thought about Buffalo taking a quarterback too, so I understand the fit there. Tennessee, they have Robert Woods and they have A.J. Brown, so bringing in a third guy will help out too, because you guys seen that the 3 wide receivers are what you're going to need nowadays. I like how you got Daxton Hill in the first round as well. So it's a good mock draft, Tony. I like it. I like this back end of it.
Yeah, the thing that is the craziest thing is that I have the Texans taking 2 offensive linemen. I just think that in a draft where there's a lot of concerns, why not go ahead and get one side, or you get 2 tackles right away. You let them both battle it out for who's going to win the job at left tackle. The other one goes to right, or you switch Icky to guard. And now right there, you got yourself either one side of the line or you got both edges sealed up. And now you can really work as an offense and support a young quarterback there. And you can go fill out the rest of it. I mean, there's still great players on defense. And I think the Texans have quite a few picks. I think 8 or 9 picks in the draft this year. So go get some pieces next year. I want to answer your question about the Packers. I think with the Packers having 2 second-round picks, assuming they don't trade for Darren Waller like the rumors the other night, I think the Packers are in a good situation to trade up early into the second round and get George Pickens, get Sky Moore, get one of these wide receivers that fell a little bit, that had some low late round, first round potential, and they get that guy who can come in right away and be a number 1 wide receiver by middle to end of the season, or at least they can compete with Allen Lazard there. I just don't see Green Bay saying, hey, I know we got rid of Devontae Adams, but there's no receiver in this draft where you're like, oh, we're going to replace Devontae Adams with a first-round pick. But they do need to replace the pass rusher they lost. They do need Aaron Rodgers to have time to execute the offense, so they need to bolster the offensive line. Those are 2 spots in the first round late there that I think that they're just like, hey, these things will aid Aaron Rodgers better, and Aaron Rodgers can take Sky Moore and allow him to be a great player. So I just don't see them taking it.
What's your lock? Because Mike has a lock. His lock is the Raiders and Broncos will not be selecting no one in the first round. Lock it in.
My lock was Malik Willis to Pittsburgh. I just think one way or another, even if Pittsburgh has to move to 17, if they fear maybe the Saints, or maybe they fear the Lions, I could see the Lions trading up to 17 and drafting a quarterback if they're in love with it, or maybe one of the maybe the Eagles decide to add even more. They move up early and then they move back in the middle, and all of a sudden now they end up with 2 picks still in the first, but one of them was 6 and one of them was 32. So it just, Malik Willis feels like a Pittsburgh Steeler, and I want to see Tomlin have that guy that he can allow to get the best chance to success in the NFL.
So I know that we do our show, and I made a mistake, Tony, but I went along with it because that's the way I do it. That's how show business does it, right, Tony? When there's a mistake. So on my mock draft, I'll pull it up right now. At 34, at 31, I had the Jets trading back in there. I made a mistake there. It wasn't the Jets that I had traded in. I had the Bears trading up for George Pickens into the first round. So I apologize. I went along with it. I had to go along with it. But when I went back and I was like, wait, that doesn't seem right to me because I already had the Jets take the wide receiver Treylon Burks here. So then when I went back and double checked before I put it in on my master one, yeah, I had the Bears trading up for George Pickens into the first round. So I apologize for that.
I love that. I think the Bears have 2 picks early on in the second round somewhere, middle second round. I know they have the Chargers and they have their own second pick. But I do believe the Bears only have like maybe 5 picks in this entire draft.
Yeah, there's not a lot.
I don't think that there's a trade-up scenario, but I really like George Pickens on that team. I think figuring out how to get George Pickens just from a talent standpoint into the first round is something that I really wanted to do. Like I kept going, well, Green Bay at 28, but then you hear how he's kind of got like some questions about whether or not he's actually going to buy in. And you're like, oh no, Green Bay is all about, you got to buy into the culture when you go to Green Bay. You got to get on the bikes in the summer, with the little kids, and you gotta love fans like this just in, screaming for autographs, standing on the sidelines. Like those are the kind of things that they need him to do. So I just am not sure that he fits with the Green Bay Packers. But he's the talent levels there. I think without the injury, we're not even questioning it. We're like, oh yeah. But I like the fact that you also went over the 6 or 6.5 projection for Vegas in the first round of wide receiver, because I'm the same way.
Yeah, and the over under for quarterbacks is 2.5. So we both took the over on the quarterbacks as well.
Yeah. I only have 2 quarterbacks in my first.
Oh, no, you didn't have Kenny Pickett going first round, right?
Yeah,
you only
I don't have.
You have Ritter, and so you went under. I went over.
Yeah. I think Kenny Pickett is. I think he's the one that we all talked about and has a little bit of that Brady Quinn, Aaron Rodgers. There's just too many. There's too many questions. Like I know people say that the hand size doesn't really mean anything or whatever, but I think these people are so picky and so analytical. Every little thing matters. And if he doesn't get selected by Carolina, I just think the upside of Desmond Ridder and Malik Willis puts him in front. So I don't know. I guess I don't know as much as these people, but this is just my personal opinion. I wanted to talk about a couple more players that I definitely could see going in the first round and where they could go. Do you want me to start? And then you can just, if I forget any or any more you want to talk about, you can do it?
Yeah.
Okay. So the first one, and I'll kind of go backwards, I guess, is the Bengals and Tyler Linderbaum. I think that that's a good match for them. The reason I went Kyler Gordon is because they didn't seem overly concerned to support Joe Burrow with an offensive lineman last year, when many of us thought they should. We're like, hey, have you seen the pictures of this guy's knee? They weren't pretty, like maybe, but they went Jamar Chase. It worked out. They played in a Super Bowl. So bravo. Every 30 years, the clock isn't broken, or whatever that saying is in Cincinnati. Tyler Linderbaum there, I think is a nice pick for them. They already did other stuff in the offseason for the offensive line. And then the other team is Kansas City, looking at a guy like Boye Mafe, edge rusher out of Minnesota, Arnold Ebiketie, the edge rusher out of Penn State, getting in there and maybe making what up, Jake? Maybe making a little noise pass rusher wise at the end of the draft. I don't know why that was tough for me, but those 3. And like I said, I already kind of mentioned Kaiir Elam. I think he's another player that is big and fast. Like he's 6'1" and ran under 4'4", plays cornerback. He's somebody else that I could see a team saying, hey, let's figure out, let's figure out how to get him here. The Lions maybe at 32 if they decide it will wait till 34 for a quarterback. I don't see that happening, but maybe they go, we want to make sure we add a cornerback to this defense in the first round. Any other players on the fringe there?
Well, I know that we went high on a lot of wide receivers, and I don't know where we can fit another wide receiver in. But this could be somebody that catches some of the eye. He got hurt last year, but is it John Mechie the third?
Yeah.
You can see him going. Injury could drop him is the reason he's gonna drop, right? But what if a team fell in love with him, Tony, and they want to take him higher, and they're willing to take that risk on him coming back? But like I said, it's another wide receiver. A quarterback that I'm in love with that I would like to see go first round would be Sam Howell. I don't know if he'll do it because, like you said, me and you are high on the quarterbacks, and we see them falling. For some reason, when I was doing the mock draft, and one of the guys that was popping out to me was Drake Johnson. Is that his name? Drake Johnson, the defensive end from USC. For some reason, to me, I don't know. It kept telling me like put him at the end of the first round. Put him at the end of the first round. I'm not going to. I'm going to let him fall. I let him fall, of course. You guys saw that. So Drake Johnson is somebody that I'd be looking forward to seeing where he goes. And that's about it, Tony. Like most of of course, we're going to get some surprise ones. Tyler Smith, the tackle from Tulsa. You didn't have him on yours. I didn't have him on mine, but he could sneak into the first round, right?
Yeah, I put in Abraham Lucas into the first round. Felke, what's going on, brother? I did. In my mock draft, Felke, I have the Cowboys shocking the world and trading up with the Chargers at 17, and they draft Treylon Burks. I know the reports from the blonde-haired lady. I forgot her name. Anyways, she reported that they really like Drake London. I think that's more of a smoke screen than it is. I think that's more of like they're not. Why would the Cowboys say which wide receiver they really want? And I think that's Treylon Burks. So, yeah, Felke, I think they do the Cowboy thing, and I think they trade to get Treylon Burks for sure. There's a couple more players that I've seen on some mocks that are first round. Quay Walker was in Bucky's mock to Green Bay. I think he's also kind of a sneaky Patriots linebacker. Like especially if the Patriots can trade back, right? I could see them with maybe they look at the Chiefs, and trade back there. And then I already mentioned Devin, Katie, Gordon, Green, Travis Jones was somebody that I could see on the Buccaneers. He was in there. I think when you pointed out that I had Evan Neal in there twice, he got bumped off and never made it back in. There's one last person that I saw that people were talking. I don't know. I forget. Oh, Sky Moore. There it is. I think Sky Moore is another wide receiver that if the Lions, right? The Lions at 32, they could use some help at wide receiver, and maybe that's a spot for Pickens. I think Mike's mock draft is up on Mike on the Mic.
Yeah,
Sports.
Here's our final mock drafts. I redid mine. I showed the original one that I had with the George Pickens going to the Bears. But this is basically the same thing. Just the only thing I had was when I messed up the original one was the Bears. So, but this is my mock draft right here, just all compacted into one little screen.
Are you allowed to plug these in and get a grade?
I think you have to pay for it and get a grade. Okay. But yeah.
I would love to see that happen. I would love to see how I get torn apart. Neither one of us had David Ajabo either.
Yeah, and that's
that he is a player that I could see also going to the Kansas City Chiefs right there at the end where we were talking about staying, like if they stay at 29 and 30, you add David Ojabo and maybe he comes back around, I don't know, Halloween time or, early December. All of a sudden you have somebody who's got energy and fresh legs and you just sort of unleash him. I mean, maybe not great technique, but perhaps he recovers nicely and they get a bonus out of him because he probably would have been, a Raven or I don't know, maybe the Texans even. Like he would have been way up there in the top half of the draft if he's healthy, in my opinion. So,
no, I'm with you on him. And when he went down, that was a big break. But if a team can get lucky enough and sit on him, just like the Titans sat on Jeffrey Simmons for a little bit, hey, you sit on him and you know the talent that he's going to come back with.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how they value him because I was listening to I was listening to one of the 50 podcasts that I listened to. The guy was saying that he had a conversation with former NFL GM Ron Wolf, and he was saying that they really only give, not that they give, but only 16 to 24 players earn first round grades, right?
Wow.
And that when you start to draft towards the end of the draft, you start looking at guys more like David Ojabo that did have first round grades originally, but suffered an injury or a setback or whatever it is. And that's why a lot of people were saying that Jameson Williams wasn't going to take that big of a hit because of the time of his injury and when he would be back to be on the NFL timetable. But if they have first round grades and you're drafting around that 24 to 26, 24 to 32, all of a sudden now it's like, hey, we had a first round grade on this guy. We got 2 picks in the first round. We're the Chiefs. Why not take him and take Daxton Hill? That's the Michigan connection right there. He can come here, rehab in our facility, and by Halloween, we're going to be wearing David Ojabo costumes. Oh, man.
Yeah. Raiders. I would love to sit in a draft room, Tony. I know they keep those secret. I would just love to see the actual grade on some of these guys. I know teams will never let you do it, but that'd be my dream is to sit in there. Raiders.
Yeah, I would love to be kidnapped, right? Even just they put those, when they kidnap you, they put those mesh bags over your head and zip tie your hands and they just leave you in the room. And I just be like in the dark, like, oh yeah, okay, cool. Wait, that's what you're going to do. And then just beating me up, waterboard me. I'd deal with a little bit of punishment to sit in a draft room and have some fun and listen. I was watching some of the older draft stuff that comes on NFL Network, and they were talking that way back in the day when there was 17 rounds, they'd go around to the maintenance guy and be like, hey, who do you want with the 17th pick? So, 17th round pick. And they just let these, because they didn't have the kind of knowledge and research that they had now, but they had all these rounds. And so they'd let the cleaning lady, she'd walk in and they'd be like, hey, which one of these names do you like on the board right here? And they would just pick one in the 17th round. I was like, my hand's up. I'll do it. Give me a shot.
And then you throw the dart at it and be like, all right, that guy, and he turns out to be something good. And, hey, you're promoted, Tony.
My thing is with the first round pick, I don't think I'd want to make that pick. I really if I was in the room and everybody was looking at me and they were like, hey, you got to pick one of these players right here. I'm not sure I want that kind of heat. I would be much more comfortable in the later rounds, saying with a definitive thing. Now, of course, I'm going to make the pick, but I would just prefer to pick later.
Right now, Tony, we talked about Trent Baalke and the Jacksonville Jaguars owner, Khan, fighting over the number 1 pick, Aiden Hutchinson or Trayvon Walker. Me personally, I'm the GM. I want my guy, of course, but I'm going to go, hey, this is who I want. I want Trayvon Walker. but I know you want Aiden Hutchinson. I'm going to take Aiden Hutchinson because you want him. And I'm going to make sure you know that I'm taking him because you wanted him. So but if I take Trayvon Walker and I fight you over it, now my job's on the line even more. Now if Trayvon Walker doesn't pan out, who are they coming after? They're going to be like, hey, that's your pick. I told you to take Aiden Hutchinson. So now when Aiden Hutchinson kind of fails, it kind of falls back a little bit on the owner instead of me, right?
So here's my pushback to that is that these guys are billionaires. You think they give a shit if they were wrong? Like, they were wrong? Guess what? I was also wrong about you because you didn't fight hard enough to prove me wrong, so now you're fired for that. Like, these GMs know they're getting fired if things go poorly no matter what, whether they get the say or don't get the say. Like, you hear all these things about your guy, Mayock, being like, oh, yeah, I didn't want to take Leatherwood in the first round. Bro, then you needed to speak up. He's like, I didn't want to take this player the year before. Hey, Mayock, we hear you on draft day, and he was one of my favorite analysis guys for many years when he would sit there at the table and give his analysis. I was like, I kind of like the way Mayock spins this stuff. He gets a chance, and the Raiders' picks while he was there were bad, Joe. Like, it was like 4 or 5 years, 3 years in a row of just like guys that didn't work out for whatever reason.
Yeah, and he never traded down. In the spots that he should have traded down, he never did. Like, everybody knows where there's a spot you should trade down, and that's what you do. If you're such a great expert at the draft board, you trade down and you want to be that smart guy, like you said, you take your higher picks in the later rounds and take those more risks. But when you risk in the first round, that's where more people will see it, and that's where your job's on the line.
Yep, I'm excited. Only one more sleep before the draft. It's going to be fun.
I'm going to take a nap this afternoon, so probably 2 more sleeps.
I love it. Let me know if you're going to make it over tomorrow night. Otherwise, Mike and I will be here on the channel, on many channels, Nuts and Bolts, and NFL Mike's channel, just reacting to the draft and talking and having fun and eating chicken wings and brisket. And yeah, it's going to be great. I'm excited for the draft.
NFL draft. Here we go, guys. This is when your team makes or breaks it. No, I don't know. That's what I was going to say, but you never make it break off of one prospect. But it's the most exciting time. So if you don't think your team's winning the Super Bowl right now, you need a new team.
Ooh, okay. Well, Chargers bandwagon is wide open. Nuts and Bolts. Join us over there. This has been another episode of the Sports Dummies. I am Tony Tucker. That is Joe Morley. We try to come every Friday, but since the draft is tomorrow, we brought it early this week. Hope you enjoy the draft. Let us know what you think in the comments, the chats. Share it with a friend. Bring your dumbest sports opinions here to the Sports Dummies and have some fun. Joe, you got anything for the people before we get out of here?
Devontae Adams, best #1 pick this year.
Dolphins fans just said Tyreek Hill. Except they don't know who's throwing him the football. Now entering a quarterback. Number 5. Teddy. Bridgewater. Water.